Good evening. Chris Lee and Blayne Gilmer of Southeastern 14 here to talk about what we saw in college football tonight and today in the SEC. We've got Auburn and Cal kicking off just about as we do this. Blayne, I'll be honest. I don't know any other way to put it than today was an absolute freaking disaster for the SEC unless Alabama makes a comeback here. I mean, that might be nice.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely painstaking at times for some of these teams. Now, I will say there's a common theme here. I think most of these SEC teams are playing relatively for modern college football, really good defense. I think you see it's the offensive struggles that have, some teams that we don't expect to struggle offensively. When Georgia didn't have a short field, they struggled offensively.
Yeah.
When Tennessee just absolutely can't get anything going against Austin Peay. Kentucky absolutely was just off the rails bad offensively at times. Their receivers were dropping the ball when Leary did throw it good. Leary didn't throw it good at times. Arkansas, but like I said, and our friend Rusty, who's in here, he came in the chat and said Arkansas has to figure out its O-line. He said defense looks much improved, but the SEC overall is down, it seems. I don't know if they can say they're just absolutely down, but my goodness, they've played
down right now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, based on what we see, right? That's all we can go on. Now, I think there's a lot of teams that are going to be better than what we've seen. But I mean, what's your victory today, SEC? Is it the fact that Florida dominated?
McNeese.
I've forgotten who McNeese. I mean, really, is that where we are? Well, here's when you know it's a really bad day, right? Not only do you not win the marquee matchups, and oh, by the way, if you haven't checked it out, Arizona just tied up Mississippi State a minute ago as I'm trying to flip back and forth between that and Alabama, Texas. But when you know it is a bad day, when you're going and checking scores and seeing what's going on in games that like you didn't think in a million years you would be checking. Like, did we think Tennessee was going to go to half tied today? Did we think South Carolina was going to be down on Furman with a couple minutes left in the first half or whatever that was? I mean, it just every single game this league played in today.
Andy still they were just look like hot dog water. They did look like hot dog water today. Arkansas looked like hot dog water at times today. So did Missouri, even against Middle Tennessee State. But again, all those teams playing good defense. Heck,
yeah.
Chris, I was in a Twitter battle all day with people talking about, hey, Georgia right now is not a good football team. When I'm saying not a good football team, I mean not a team that I think is, just head over heels favorite to win a championship because they haven't executed on offense. But then I go around and I look at the rest of college football and, maybe some people have a point that who is head over heels a great football team. Texas looks pretty dang good tonight, but in
Texas
terms of just
great tonight,
Ohio State and some of these other schools, they've kind of struggled, haven't really, just absolutely put teams away and things like that. So it's interesting times. Rusty says here 1-6 against Power 5 schools.
Seems worse than that.
Yeah, it might be worse than that. So where do you want to start? We got our little, 30 minutes here to react and see how stuff's going, Chris. So where do you want to start? Which game?
Well, I'll tell you this. I want to ask you a question, put you on the spot here. If you've got an AP ballot Monday, who are you putting number one?
Well, I mean, I don't know that where was Florida State when they came into today? Was Florida State third? I mean, I think Florida State, even though LSU didn't look good, they've got a really impressive win. Texas now has a really what looks to be an impressive win on their resume. We're going to see what Georgia it does against an SEC opponent next week. I think just by default, it has to continue to be Georgia right now. But because
I say that what I think I'm going with this team that's dominating Alabama right now. Dominating is a strong word, but you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I don't know if in the way, just knowing the way the AP works, I don't know if they jump them from 11 to 1.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know that they would jump them to 11 to 1. I think they'll definitely be a top 4 team, top 3 or 4 is how they'll do it. But FSU, has got to be looked at. But Georgia's going to stay at number one because they won 45-3 at the end of the day. Okay, they won 45-3, even though they didn't look great at times doing it. And part of that, Chris, I think, is because Georgia is being super vanilla. Also, they're just not executing on some simple stuff at certain times. And I think a lot of that has to do with, okay, hey, when it comes to it, how excited is Georgia to be playing against UT Martin and Ball State? You know what I'm saying? Like that's a hard sell, even for Kirby Smart to say, hey, let's get these guys pumped up, ready to go. I think with an SEC game, they'll come out a little bit more motivation. We know that there's no love lost between Kirby Smart and Shane Beamer and all that kind of good stuff over there. So I think they'll be much more, excited about going out and playing that football game next week. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think you can take them out of the one spot, but Texas does look mighty good. But hey, that's kind of a win for the SEC there, Chris.
Right.
They're coming into the league.
Well, I want to clear something up. My question was, who would you vote for? I don't think that Texas is going to jump from 11 to 1, although I bet you a couple people will vote Texas 1. I mean, the last time, trivia question, if you didn't see it, the last time Alabama lost a non-conference game was when and to who?
Oh, non-conference game? Man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd blank on that one.
You could win a bar bet with this one. Louisiana Monroe in 2007.
Oh, wow. That is, that's at the beginning, very beginning there. So no wonder it didn't come to mind.
Year one.
Yeah, year one, game one, right? I mean, or was that game two, maybe?
I don't think it was game one, but there was a comment on here I want to circle back to because it nails where I was going to go next. And I've been saying this for a while. No, not this one, but I think this is what we're looking at. Look, I hate a lot of the way that college football is put together right now with the tampering and the constant roster churn. And speaking of which, how about Deion Sanders? But what it has done, Blayne, is it has created this wild world of parity, it seems to me. I mean, the narrative was that the rich are going to get richer. I don't know that I see it that way. I think maybe I'd put it the people with money are giving a little more even. Like you look at Texas jumping up and doing this tonight. There's just not a team right now. I mean, Michigan could be number one next week if it's not Georgia. It's going to be Georgia, but
yeah, it's going to be
Michigan wasn't dominant against UNLV today.
No, they weren't. They was like 21-0 at half or something like that. And UNLV is a terrible team. I mean, terrible team. Yeah. What he said about the Arkansas offensive line, though, the Archie 56 here, yeah, that's concerning against a Kent State team that, I laid out a challenge in in the morning report, Chris, where I said, hey, I want to see
beyond dreadful.
Yeah, but I want to see these Arkansas receivers get separation for KJ Jefferson. They didn't get a lot of separation. This is a Kent State team that gave up over 700 yards of offense to UCF. Okay. Mm-hmm. Over 700 yards of offense to UCF. And it really, really was a struggle for Arkansas to move the football. Now, I will say this. I think KJ Jefferson is going to be fine, but they do have to absolutely pick it up on that offensive line. They put up a graphic today coming into the game. They had 3 offensive line positions that had 1 start to their name coming into that game. But you had Brady Latham and Bo Limmer, who of course are the mainstays there and have done their deal. But oh my goodness, it was rough. Now Trenton White, he's being a good soldier over here, says he still believes in his Ags. Well, man, I tell you who I do believe in. I believe in Connor Wegman. That kid is tough as nails, and he stepped into and took some hits.
That throw he made on the
throws.
score today late.
Yeah, like he did really, really good. But in terms of that defense, that secondary let them down, and that's an experienced secondary for Texas A&M. They've got Damani Richardson back. They've got Tony Grimes that transferred in. He's played a lot of football over there, but they give up big play after big play after big play, Chris, in that secondary against Miami. And Tyler Van Dyke looked like the guy that was getting first round buzz 2 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, your big winner in the SEC today had to be Ole Miss, right? I mean, who would have thought? And that's Ole Miss that did not play
Michael Pratt.
against the court. Yeah, I went blank on his name. Thank you. Who's one of the best quarterbacks, if not players, in the country. And that game was, I mean, Tulane led
They
that
were
in the
down,
second
what, in the
half, if I
third quarter, I
recall.
think.
Yeah, I mean that score. If all you saw in that game was the score, that was not at all indicative of the way that game was played.
No, they had a scoop and score late in that game on defense. They had a defensive touchdown added to that total, so it was really more of like probably about a 10-point game. But man, Alabama officially goes down at home to Texas. What are you thinking in terms of, Chris? You watched this game, and I don't think you or I either one claim to be quarterback gurus or anything like that, but my goodness, Jalen Milroe, it was the best of times and the worst of times. You know what I'm saying? Like he did some unbelievable things, but the consistency was just not there. What do you think Alabama does at the quarterback position going forward?
Good question. I want to add a couple things on the game. And first of all, just to update people, Mississippi State has just kicked a field goal and gone back ahead of Arizona with 6 and change to play. So that game, which has been wildly entertaining too, I had that on the second screen, is still in the balance. I don't know. I mean, I wondered that too, because I don't know what you do at this point. Jalen Milroe missed open receivers at times. Maybe he got a little rattled because his offensive line wasn't very good. But a couple times, like remember they had the back come out on, what was it, the wheel route there, matched up against the safety or the Nick. You remember the play I'm talking about? And he got him open, or maybe it wasn't a back. It might have been a slot receiver. I don't remember what it was, but he has a guy open streaking down the right sideline. And if he just gives him a little bit of loft, it's a touchdown. The
Oh yeah,
games may be
no doubt.
different. I texted a buddy of mine who's a big Alabama fan, and this was right before Milroe threw the absolute rocket.
Sam H. He's. I've been telling everybody that offensive line for Alabama is a worry. I know what you're pointing out right
Yeah.
now, Chris, on Jalen Milroe, but we got to also say Jalen Milroe was running for his life.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is I give him a little bit of slack, because when you don't know if you can trust your pocket, you can probably get happy feet. And by the way, Texas's defensive line was really freaking good, but
Really good.
there's just a couple times there were throws there for him to be made that weren't made. I thought their running game tonight was very pedestrian. That didn't help. But I texted a buddy right before he throws that bomb to the Georgia transfer. I've gone blank on his name. Jermaine Burton. Thank you. He throws the bomb to Burton. But right before that, I texted a buddy of mine. I said, Alabama's in trouble, Blayne. I'll tell you what I was thinking. I can't name a thing. I mean, maybe it's field goal kicking or punting or something that Alabama's doing better than Texas is tonight. I mean, the lines of scrimmage were vastly different. Quarterback play was very different. I thought, not that Alabama's receivers and tight ends are bad, but I thought Texas's were better. I'm just watching that game. I'm having a hard time explaining how it's a field goal game or whatever it was at that point.
Well, Chris, when you're talking about college football now today, this year is different than any other year with these clock rules too, because you have to, the possessions are going to be limited, and you have to execute when you get the opportunities. And that's what you're talking about. There were some missed opportunities by Milroe, but also you talked about the lines of scrimmage. I thought Alabama's defensive line actually played pretty dang well throughout that game. They did really good. They held them to 101 yards rushing, but they were just on the field too much. And in today's game with the clock rules, when Texas gets 75 plays on you, you know that your offense is not sustaining drives. Alabama on the day, 5 of 14 on third down conversions. Not going to get it done against a top tier team like Texas. And that was, I think that was the story of this game, that Alabama's defense was just on the field too much and eventually got worn down. And you give Steve Sarkisian and Quinn Ewers and A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy and Jatavion Sanders and Jordan Whittington shot after shot after shot. Eventually, the dam is going to break, and the flood's just going to come right there of points. And that's what happened there in that, late third, early fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean that was a super impressive performance. But Mississippi State just got a pick off a deflection. So that won't put it away. But that certainly tilts the advantage heavily towards State. Jaden DeLaura is fascinating to watch, by the way. I don't know how
Yeah,
much
no,
you've watched him at Arizona, but
yeah, I put a tweet out that said that was going to be just an unbelievable matchup of quarterbacks between
yeah,
DeLaura and Will Rogers. Those guys make plays, really, really good. We got some more comments over here. Sam H says Connor Wigman is an athlete. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm all in on the Connor Wigman deal. That loss today was on DJ Durkin and the Texas A&M defense. That secondary, too many busts, just didn't get enough stops when they needed to. Connor Wigman and Bobby Petrino and Jimbo Fisher, the offense is going to be fine over there at A&M. And now, you know, Alabama's got to go to Texas A&M in a few weeks, Chris.
yeah.
That's not going to be easy game for them.
Miami threw for what, like 370 today?
Let me look.
I mean, it was a
Miami.
lot.
Yeah, but you just saw busted play after busted play in that game. Let's see right here the team stats. Yeah, Miami threw for 374 yards. But listen, Texas A&M, like I said, threw for 336. They only rushed the ball for 97, but they outrushed Miami at 77. It was just the big chunk plays through the air that hurt Texas A&M in that game over and over again. Just gave up big plays. And listen, the third down efficiency, Texas A&M held Miami to 3 of 9 on third down. It's not like they were just,
Yeah.
absolutely, just chopping them up. It was those big plays, those chunk plays that they gave up that I just don't know how 8.4 yards per play for Miami. That's a big number against an SEC football team.
Well, that kickoff return was also huge, and there should have been a hold called on that they missed. That might have been the biggest play of that game.
As we're on right now, Auburn has just kicked. Well, they're underway against California now. So California has the football, and I don't know if there was a penalty called or not. If they called one down towards the end zone, but anyways, it's Auburn is playing a little Pac-12 after dark out there, Chris.
Yeah, and we've got Pac-12 after dark in Starkville, and Will Rogers is just throwing the ball out of bounds, and so State will punt back to Arizona with 2-something left. I can't see the rest of the clock because the mute button covers it, and we've got a hold on State, so they'll decline that. Jed Fish's team is fun to watch, man.
He said, Bulldogs 17 said, it's bad when Georgia only wins 45-3. Let me tell you, okay, people can be beholden to the result all they want to. Georgia was 0-0 with Ball State at the end of the first quarter, going into the second quarter, or a little bit of the second quarter, actually. Then two lucky, Kirby Smart called them lucky interceptions. One bounces off a guy's foot, another deflection off another. Georgia catches those. Short field, puts points on the board. Their first score came by a punt return for a touchdown. And Chris, as much as you love special teams, you can't count on special teams to get you scores, in games. That's just more of a happenstance type deal where you make a good play. But so 21 points there, one off a punt return, and then two other touchdowns right there off of very short fields. So it changes the dynamic of that a lot when you're looking at it. And I just think Georgia, in my mind, is the deepest and most talented team in the country, but they have not executed that way. And when you don't execute and don't make the plays that you should make against inferior competition, I don't think you're playing like a good football team. That is my opinion. Carson Beck has made great decisions. He's been way more athletic than people thought. The interception today was not his fault. That was just a freak thing that happened on there. He's got to take care of the football and not fumble it. He gets that ball away from his body a lot when he's running. But in terms of everything else, they just didn't execute.
Arizona's either stepped out of bounds or scored about an 80-yard touchdown. I'm not sure which.
You can't tell, huh?
Well, I thought he stepped out of bounds, but I don't see a flag. Oh my goodness, that was a busted coverage.
Rusty made a good point here. Arkansas, their first points of the game were a pick six against Kent State. They didn't score an offensive touchdown till well into like almost halftime, I think. And that was a deal where KJ Jefferson fumbled the snap, picks it up, runs around, finds a guy in the back of the end zone. So it was just a crazy day for offenses in the SEC in terms of crazy bad, like just total lack of execution.
And yet Georgia's by far my least concern. Here's a question for you. Who's the second best team in the league right now?
Maybe Ole Miss. Maybe Ole Miss. Maybe Ole Miss. Maybe
still
Texas
Alabama.
Maybe Texas A&M, because I really like Texas A&M's offense. I really do. I know they gave up 48 points today, but I think they can get some things corrected on that in that secondary. Connor Wigman's the real deal. I'm telling you, Chris, when you got a guy that's got that kind of toughness and that kind of athleticism and that big of an arm, I really, really, really think that Connor Wigman is going to be a superstar down the line for Texas A&M. Really, really good player.
Threw his first 2 picks of his career today, but again, I don't think the loss was his fault. There were some other issues.
Cal goes up 3-0 on Auburn.
And by the way, Arizona is driving inside the 30. I think 4th down, so we might see a field goal here. 4th and 2. Or do you just go for it and try to put it away?
Chris, what were your thoughts
without giving Will Rogers another possession here?
Chris, what were your thoughts on the Vanderbilt game today? I thought Vanderbilt at times showed some great playmaking ability. I think they hurt themselves more than Wake Forest hurt them.
Yeah, that just got our day started off appropriately, didn't it? 2 minutes in, they've got a 2-hour rain delay. I thought Vanderbilt played poorly on the whole. They could not tackle anybody today. The pass coverage wasn't great, but you kind of forgot about that after a while because Wake just ran it, and Vanderbilt couldn't stop it. I think the offense looked good at times. You're starting to see some big play guys develop for that offense, other than Will Shepard. Jade McGowan had another long play. London Humphrey's a freshman for them that I really like, had a big play. They ran the ball a little bit, but I think they were -2 in turnovers. They were -3 at the half, and you can't beat a team like Wake that way. I don't think Vanderbilt has played, and maybe it's just a bad football team. We'll see, but they've not played up to what I thought they'd be. I didn't think they were going to look. I didn't think they were challenged for the upper half of the East or anything like that. Let's not get crazy, but I thought they'd be better than they've shown so far. I was disappointed in their showing today.
Yeah, I think AJ Swan did some things that were kind of uncharacteristic for him, at least in his career. He just made a couple bonehead decisions, but man, when he has time to set his
really
feet,
bad balls.
But when he has time to set his feet and he delivers the ball with confidence down the field, Chris, I mean, he put the ball in some spots today that were really, really good. I think that's great for the future of Vanderbilt over there. And I think, like you said, those playmakers emerging. I was encouraged with how they ran the ball a little bit better. Like you said, Patrick Smith looked good at times. Alexander looked good at times. They just have to play clean football, and they didn't do that. If Vanderbilt is able to play clean football, you can see that they'll be, they could have been competitive with Wake today.
Fittingly, we're going to overtime in Starkville. 5 seconds left.
Goodness.
Arizona's just hit a field goal right down the middle. So I guess that's why they didn't. I didn't have the clock handy, so that's why they didn't go for it on 4th and 2 because of the time. Because now State's not going to get a chance to score. But that would just be the cherry on the crap Sunday for the SEC today. If Arizona comes back and wins this one, it was it was 14-0 until the last 30 seconds of the first. Did you see the play Arizona hit to get down there? I think they hit a bomb, and then they had a weird rushing play where Delores snapped it, I think, before they were ready and snuck it in amidst a massive humanity, and it went to replay for several minutes, and the touchdown was allowed. So That was a weird one. Mississippi State looked like it was in total control of the first half of this one, and may end up losing one on its home field.
Yeah, I mean it's been a rough day so far for the SEC. We'll see how it finishes in these night games here. Chris, let's talk about Joe Milton. What did you watched a lot of that Austin Peay game? I watched a lot of that Austin Peay game. What did you see? What were your observations of the Tennessee offense against the Austin Peay Governors?
Well, to be honest, I did not watch much of the portion where he struggled. I just looked down on my phone and saw he was 1 of 8, and saw the noise on Twitter. Because again, that was one of about 5 or 6 games I wasn't even planning to pay any attention to, because there were so many other games that I wanted to see, and I found myself just checking, switching the second screen, or checking my phone and switching it to video again and again and again with darn near everybody in this league. I'm calling you out, Tennessee. I'm calling Kentucky out. Even though it wasn't an FC, Missouri almost blew one late. That was
South
kind of the
Carolina
theme of the
looked
day. South Carolina looked horrible to start the first half. I mean, that was the theme of the day. It's like you're checking things that, like, you didn't spend 2 seconds thinking that those things could go sideways all week, and a lot of them did. None of them ended up, as losses. But I mean, look, the
well,
box score on that Tennessee game, and I watched a few plays, but I don't think I saw the better ones. But the box score to me told a little bit of a tale today. That should have been a game Tennessee won by 50 points and was plus 400 in yards, and it wasn't. And again, a lot of it sounded like it was Milton having the same issues with accuracy early on until they got going. Now, the running
yeah,
game, which I think is really good, seemed to kind of bail them out again, which that probably won't be the first time that it happens this year. But yeah, that was just something I didn't have on the bingo card going into today, was Tennessee and Austin Peay being tied at half.
Tyler Adams says, as we pointed out, Tennessee's defense did look good at times. There were some conversions by Austin Peay, but they stopped the run. Tennessee's run defense continues to be really, really good. But here's the thing with Joe Milton. I watched those throws. Joe Milton was high to start the game. Every throw was high. Everybody was reaching up to get the balls. And then when you already have that in the back of your head as a quarterback, okay, and you do make some good throws, the receivers dropped them. So it just compounded on some things. So they had some high throws, some drops. They had a slant that should have been a touchdown to Deontay Thornton right there that he throws well onto the back hip, Chris. He's open. When you've got a guy that's beat a defender inside by 1.5 yards in the SEC, that is wide open, okay? And he put it on his back hip and allowed the Austin Peay guy to dive in there. I said it last week against Virginia, and everybody, all the Tennessee fans said, well, he was 70%. Ball placement. Ball placement matters. Just because you catch the ball, and by the way, Virginia lost to James Madison today, okay? And James Madison plays a good brand of football, but they lost, okay? So when it comes down to it, Joe Milton so far has not been accurate enough. Just like I'll call out Georgia's offensive line and perimeter blocking for not executing the way they need to and missing blocks, I'll call out Joe Milton for saying he's not been accurate enough for the standards of what Josh Heupel's sets for that program. And what I'll say too is these elite programs, Chris, these programs that want to play for national championships, there is a standard that you can't just back away from. You can't say, oh, well, it was okay, it was this and that. You either meet the standard or you don't. And so far, I think everybody fell short of their standards today. I know Georgia raced away from Ball State there in the middle of that game, but it was rough. It was rough at times.
You were the resident guy around here that pisses everybody off with saying the the worst case scenario. But I was thinking about it today. You've nailed a lot of things so far that you were concerned about.
Yeah, I mean, I was concerned about it. Now, what is this about? We got Keg Stone one says, "What is the state OC doing? Only giving Will Rogers 15 throws." So
is that it?
So they went more to a running offense, I know, but isn't that much of a running offense?
I mean, I get some of it might have been game flow, and I get that they ran the ball well last week, but I had not checked the box on one. Now that's astonishing.
Yeah, let me look right here. Yep, 11 for 15, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So, yeah, they definitely ran the ball.
That's
We got a few,
crazy.
we got a few more minutes here. What are your guys' thoughts on what are your guys' thoughts on what are your guys' thoughts in the chat? Go ahead and throw them in here just on the day, the SEC play, and what everybody thought about what was going on. Yeah, the hate on Miami's quickly showed up. Miami
Hey,
played well.
you know what? I know Miami's not the most popular team around outside that fan base, but college football is better when Miami's good. And that was, in that sense, it was a good day for college football. Seeing that place hopping again. I know it wasn't full, uh, but that was kind of wild to see today.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. No doubt. Third, we've covered a lot of these SEC games. It was not a great day around the league. Like we said, we're going to see if Auburn does well. I know Cal's driving right now. Mississippi State is in overtime with Arizona. It's a rough day. You know, just some teams didn't represent the way that I know that they wanted to represent, Chris. And the biggest letdown, I think, was just how Alabama couldn't get their drives extended. That third down conversion rate, not great, 5 of 14, and Jalen Milroe just 2 up and down with an offensive line that didn't protect him very well.
Super Bomberman, we've been talking about this one a little bit. I'm watching it on the screen as Will Rogers is just scrambled and State's going to get flagged for a hold. This one has crumbled quickly for State as Arizona's just made one play after another, and State has gone conservative, I guess is a good way to put it.
Yep. So we got football after dark. It's just we're gonna see how it finishes up here. And hey, after a long Saturday, Chris, of watching football and seeing things, now I gotta get a Sunday school lesson prepared for
Yeah.
tomorrow morning. So
Yes, we
so
the Lees are also early church people, and that hits at 8 Central. I wish it hit 11. Um,
yeah.
so yes, I'm in that boat, although I'm not teaching a Sunday school lesson tomorrow.
So down at the bottom, we did want to tell people on our banner here, if you want to be an MVP of Southeastern 14, if you like our content on our channel, we did previews, we did everything through here throughout the week. Of course, we do reaction, but then, man, you just need to get on board with us. If you want your business to be represented by us, you can be the MVP of Southeastern 14 and advertise with us. Reach out to caroline.smith at southeastern14.com to find out how your product or service can be seen by over 150,000 unique viewers each month, and that number is only going to go up. Chris, we passed 11,000 subs on the channel. We've done 1,300 subs in the last couple of weeks going up, and the channel is only growing with football season in full swing.
And Mississippi State has passed the end zone in overtime. I don't know if that was Marks or who that was. It looked like Jeff Pittman. Looked like a swing pass or something there. I didn't see the start of the play, but so a 29-yard touchdown catch to start overtime there for Mississippi State.
Yeah, and hey, with you'd mentioned stuff about being right and wrong, Chris. That's how it goes in football. But you're
Yeah.
gonna be we only see what these rosters look like and what we think is going on. But you still got to go up and go and play the games between the lines. That's what makes college football great. That's what makes SEC football great. And looking forward to week 3.
Honest to God, I think some of these teams are going to play better. I mean, South
Yeah.
Carolina, poster child of that. They just like garbage the first 2 months or very mediocre. The garbage is too strong. But and then the calendar flips to November and they're taking on all comers. There's going to be some teams in this league like that this year. I don't think we need to get I think we can be concerned and ask some questions. And I think it's fair to say at this point, the league doesn't look like what we thought it was. But you go back and look at the games at the end of the year and say that happened in week 2. These guys beat those guys. There's going to be some of that. I think the teams that are probably going to stick together and end up being good at the end are the ones that have chemistry.
Oh yeah.
The ones that don't have the problems brought on by whatever the litany of issues facing college football. So, where there's a strong locker room, there's still a chance, even if your team disappointed today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Chris, I think it's time to hit the hay for Saturday night and then get ready for week 3 on Monday when we start getting more content pumped out.
Yeah, and we will probably start rolling previews out Monday morning, depending on when you and I can get together. It'll be a busy day for a lot of us tomorrow. We got nine games we'll preview.
Yeah, and I think we're going to do a live stream on Monday night. We'll do a live stream for some of the bigger games Monday night and then release those as clips on Tuesday, like kind of, do that as well too. So I think that did really good on Monday night. So Blake, I think
we're not going to promise it yet. We've got to make some, and first of all, I've got to check my schedule, but yeah, that's anyway, however we do it, the content's going to start rolling here pretty quickly. And we've got the daily show now. If people weren't aware, we do a daily show from 11 to noon. Blayne's not part of that, though. We're going to get you on at some point, my man.
Yeah, at some point. But I got the morning report that comes out every morning, through Monday through Thursday. And then we have Jake's takes on Friday with Jake Crane of the Crane & Company on the Daily Wire. So would love to see the actual number, but I think Tennessee had 9+ drops today. Yeah, no doubt. Deontay Thornton had a couple. Brew McCoy had one. I mean, Squirrel White, I think, had one on there. So, there was a lot of drops today, but also drops are contributed by not great ball placement as well. I'm not talking about, when it's not perfect, it makes it a little bit tougher over there. So it's
well, and let's be honest too. Some of these teams that let their fans down today, Tennessee, Arkansas. I mean, I have to think some of this is playing down to the level of competition. That the games that worry me more about the league today, Blayne, were what happened with Texas. You would have liked to seen Vanderbilt show up a little better. You would have liked to seen Missouri dominate MTSU a little bit more. I could name some more, but I know you got to go, and I'm going to respect that. So, sorry, folks. We would have liked to have gone longer. I think the Alabama game, going past what we thought, just kind of screwed us in that regard. We both have church and families to attend to in the morning and all that good stuff. So, next time we'll hope,
we still had a great crowd in here, and we appreciate everybody jumping in the chat. Make sure that you hit that like button. It's absolutely free. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, turn on notifications, and guys, we appreciate everybody tuning in.
Yeah, again, sorry we couldn't go longer, but for Blayne Gilmer, I'm Chris Lee. We're Southeastern 14. We appreciate you tuning in with us tonight, and we will see you again soon.